It's lovely to be here. And they say that it's some time ago that William invited me to take part this evening. I hear you laughing, and I think you know, William, that he doesn't actually invite, he announces that you ought to do it. So I had no option. However, I have to say that I was both honoured and very thrilled to be asked. All the more so because of the names that are now associated with this place. William Still and James Phillip, whom William has already mentioned, whose ministries were so significant in the recovery of expository biblical ministry in Scotland and further too. And Dick Lucas, who was for many years minister, or should I say rector, I'm not sure the correct word, of St Helens Bishopsgate, and whose inspiration was the start of the Proclamation Trust and the Cornhill training centres. We owe a great deal to you, Dick, and it's lovely to have you with us tonight. And I know that you will be speaking to us later. So many people have passed through Cornhill, down in England and here and now in other areas as well, and have been taught expository biblical ministry, and that is what is so needed in our land today. Perhaps if I may speak personally, I'm so very delighted at the library, which is called the James Phillip Library. He was a prolific and wide-ranging reader, often into the wee small hours, which I have to say sometimes caused a little bit of he was an owl, I'm a lark. But he believed that it was very important to keep up with contemporary theological debate, and he read very widely and extensively. Sorry. My fingers are shaking and I can't separate the paper. He also believed that it was very important to keep up with current world issues, and he read widely on all these subjects. He loved his books. He knew exactly where they were in his bookcase. Woe betide if anyone moved them. And he was able to reach out, know where the book was, take it down, and immediately find the passage that he was referring to. He read and reread so many of his books, and I believe that he must have known some of them almost by heart, perhaps James Denny. He would have been gratified by some of C.S. Lewis's comments on books and reading. I quote, "An unliterary man may be defined as one who reads books once only." And again, clearly one must read every good book at least once every 10 years. And I'm sure he meant commentaries as well. Jim would have been so pleased and happy to know that these beloved books are now among those next door in the library, and that they're available to all who work and learn and study here. I trust that they will prove helpful and enlightening, along with perhaps all the more modern and excellent literature. Our country was very different 40 to 60 years ago when these men began their ministries. Christian values and tradition were still evident, though declining, and large numbers, often mainly nominal Christians, still attended church and Sunday school. And so the remit of these ministries was to preach the gospel in these congregations and to train and send out men and women into different spheres of Christian service, the missionary field and the ministry, and so to replicate the ministries under which they were taught. Today, ministries and methods, to some extent, have had to adapt to our changing culture, our secular culture. However, the gospel preached by Paul and the early apostles, and by these three men and many others, has not changed, and it is that gospel that Cornhill teaches and proclaims today. That is what this building stands for, and it is surely the prayer of us all that many will go from this place proclaiming that same gospel, bearing fruit and so glorifying our God. May I finish with a quote from the biography of Jim Elliot, who as a young missionary was martyred by the Auca Indians in South America in the 1960s. And I'm sure some of us will remember when that hit the world news. This is his quote. "He makes his ministers flames of fire. Am I ignitable? God, deliver me from the dread asbestos of other things. Saturate me with the oil of the Spirit, that I may be a flame. But flame is transient, short-lived. Canst thou bear this, my soul, short life? In me dwells the spirit of the great short-lived, whose zeal for God's house consumed him. Make me thy fuel, flame of God.
Yes.
May many flames for God go from this place." It gives me great pleasure now to declare this building open.